All right, so we're going to be working on this part here. And this one's a little tricky because you really have to be comfortable with this Revolve tool. So, this might take you a little while and you might need to watch this video and kind of really think about it. So anyways, first step is to create our document and change our units. So we have our document. We're going to come over here, Workspace Units, make them into millimeters, degree of 2, radians, decimals of 2, and grams, decimals of 2. All right, and from there, I'm going to start a sketch on the front plane, and I'll view normal to. And this one's a little bit tricky, and so we really have to analyze what's going on here. So, kind of looking at here, we have this circular part. And when we look here, it's going to get revolved in some way. But this section view is actually what I kind of want to use as my revolving tool. So we want to kind of think if there was a line through the middle here, this little piece right here with the little section, that's actually what we're revolving. And so you can always kind of remember that this section piece with the kind of angles, that's what's going to be revolving. So we need to kind of draw this almost Z shape. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to just start off by kind of coming off to the right. And it doesn't tell me what the units would be here. So from like this middle point over to the right, it doesn't tell me what those units are. And so we need to kind of come back here and think, okay, well, the overall outside circle had a diameter of 400, which means that from the middle over would be the radius, that would be 200. So we're going to kind of draw that one as 200. So we'll draw that first line with a distance of 200. And so then we have this guy. Then from there, if we kind of look, our next piece, this goes up. And again, it doesn't quite tell me how much it goes up by. But if I come back up here, I know it goes up by 10. Okay, so we're just kind of having to switch between views. So we're going to draw this up by 10 and then over. Okay. So we're going to draw this line from here. Oops, and make sure that you actually click on your point. Otherwise, you'll have to use the coincident tool. So click on your point up by 10. And I'm just going to go ahead and move these kind of off to the side so I can see them better. All right, and then our next line goes over. And again, I didn't know how far this line went over. So we kind of have to look at the other image and try to figure out, okay, well, what is this distance here? How far does it go over? If I look back here, I don't see anything here. But if I know that this is the next circle, so kind of coming back here, my outer circle is 400, my next circle is 330. So I know this is going to be 330 divided by 2 for the dimensions of that circle. Now that dimension would be the distance from this point to the center. The diameter is 330, but remember we're revolving, so this is half of it. So divided by 2. This is where this part gets really, really kind of tricky and confusing. Okay. So next, kind of looking back at our diagram. So we've kind of started in the middle right here. We've gone over to the right. Right, so we start in the middle here. We've gone over to the right by 200, up by 10. Then we just went over that 330 divided by 2. And now we're going to go up some distance and have this angled arc. So I need to figure out what distance is this. And we actually don't know here, but they give us the 15 and the 75. So what I'm going to do is, and that kind of helps us with the arc tool in this. So I'm going to go up by some distance. And then I'm going to use my arc tool. I'm going to just click, and kind of do an arc like this. Whatever it is right now, it doesn't matter. And then I'll do my line tool over. I'm going to kind of just try to finish this shape. I'm going to go over. Oops, I don't think I'm showing it right now. Let me redo that for us. So I kind of created this here, but let me redo that for us to see. So I went up some distance that we don't know. Then we'll use our arc tool. And if you use the tangent arc, that would work as well too. But I'm just going to make any arc right now. We don't know what, we know it's actually 30. So we could dimension that as 30 if we want to. Just be careful that it needs to be pointing this way. If it's pointing the other way, you might need to adjust it. And then from there, it kind of goes from that point. It goes over to the left. And then it goes up. And it's going to connect all the way back here where we should have that geometry where it's above. So kind of what I did right here is I just was starting, if you can see my mouse right here, I went up, I did this arc of 30, I went over, I went up, and then I went back over to the middle. So now I'm going to start adding in some dimensions. So I know the 15 is that top, the 75 is the full, and then I can also figure out that the diameter of this inside circle is this next diameter, the 170, divided by 2, because it's going to be a radius. So we'll add in all 3 of those. So that means that this dimension, here, that's my 170 divided by 2, so 85. Then I know that this dimension here was my 15. And then I know that the height of this guy, this overall height, is going to be 75. Right, so those were all given to me. Now, the reason this is not fully defined is that these just aren't tangent, which we can see from the picture it is tangent. So I'm just going to tangent these guys here, and now we have it fully defined. Okay. So from there, I can't revolve anything yet. And remember what I was saying is we want this little section that looks like this, this material here. Okay, now, technically, right, this kind of sectioned off material. Technically, I have this up here extending all the way to the center, but that's okay because later we're going to cut it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this just extending to the center. So right here, I'm going to go down by 10 and over and kind of start to make this Z shape. Right? So we said it goes down by 10. And then it goes over across somewhere. And it kind of makes a Z shape. It goes down again, and then it goes over again. So I'm just going to kind of fill those in like that, and then we'll go check the dimensions. So we can see that it's 10 away from the side and 10 away from the top. So we'll go ahead and we'll add those dimensions, and then it makes another arc. We don't know what this arc is, but we know the distance is 10 away. So it's kind of all 10s, and then it just comes down and is 10 away there. So I'll go ahead and kind of finish this and add in those dimensions. So we know that we have a dimension from this side to this side being 10. And then from there vertically, that dimension is also 10. And then after that, we have another arc. I'm just going to kind of make an arc in here somewhere. I don't know where. Just, the key is you don't want to make it horizontal with any of those yet because we don't know if that's true. Okay, and then I'm going to just kind of come down all the way to the bottom. Right, because that will kind of create that Z shape. So now let's go in and dimension these. So we knew that this was 10 from the side. And we know that the distance between my 2 arcs was 10. So the distance between those 2 arcs was 10. And now it's not fully defined, but we can see it's not fully defined because we don't have that tangent. So when we're doing arcs, a lot of times we want to tangent them to make them smooth if that's what they look like. And now this made it perfectly. So what we want to do is we want to revolve this in a circle. Now remember, to revolve it, you always need to have a line of revolution. Technically, we could revolve it around this line. But if you want to just add in a line here, we'd add in a line here, make it a construction line. Sometimes that makes it a little easier on us. So I'll just turn this into a construction line. And so this is where we're going to revolve about. So I'm going to go back to my isometric view. We'll choose the revolve option. We'll pick on our geometry, our sketch. Then our revolve axis will be this here. And that's going to give us the disc, the circular disc. Now we need to cut out the center and add in the circular pattern. Okay, so kind of looking at our first image, we can see that this center cut has a diameter of 100. We're actually going to get to use diameter this time because we're not worried about the, having half of it. So we're going to go to our, when we revolved it, right, we were only using half of it, which is why we had to divide by 2 to get the radiuses, the radii. So there's that circle. We're going to go ahead and extrude it. And I want to remove material just to be safe. I'm going to change it to through all. And then again, we're going to do another sketch. And this time I'm going to sketch on this outer ring. And this is to get that circular pattern. Right, so this is to get that circular pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by just doing the top one right here. It has a diameter of 12, and the center is 182 from the very center. So a diameter of 12, we're going to make a circle. And if you can get it lined up like this with that dash, that's perfect. If you can't, just put it anywhere. And then you can add it in with the vertical tool. You don't need to do this vertical tool with the 2 centers if you already had it lined up. And then the dimension is from center to center was 182. And that'll put it kind of right in the middle of this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish this sketch. And then go back to our isometric view, Shift 7. And I'm going to extrude. And I want to pick that circle out here. Sometimes it's hard to see it, so I might need to right click and hold to kind of drag and rotate. And again, I want to remove material to be safe. I like to always go through all when I know I'm removing it all the way through. Then I'm going to go ahead and pick my patterning tool. And that should be up here. Yeah. So it might look like this with the box. And you might need to just kind of click the arrow and go down to circular pattern. Now I don't want to be on part pattern. I want to be on feature pattern. So my feature is going to be my extrude to that hole. Then my axis, I just want to pick the circle. So I can pick any of these rings that makes the circle. I'm just going to kind of choose this ring. So that's in circular. And it said that there were 16 of them, 16 by 12 diameter. So I'm going to change that to 16. Hit my check mark, and now I have 16 of them. And from here, the last step is just to change our material to brass. So right click, assign material, and we'll make it brass. I'm going to go back to the isometric view because I'm going to take a screenshot. Looks a little better there. Display mass, click here. I get this 1381.44. So we can always check that answer. And we have in here, check answer, 1381.44. Oops, 13814, sorry, 13814.44. We will click check answer. We got it right. So then just take a screenshot of this and submit that to the assignment. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in class.